Hi all, and welcome to our predictions for what we think Mario Baseball 3 will look like. We would love to see another Mario Baseball game on the Switch, and we were thinking it would be fun to put together a video about what we'd most like to see in this game. So starting off with a story mode, because every good Mario sports game must have a story mode, we were thinking it could go as follows. After reclaiming the Baseball Kingdom as their own, Mario, Luigi, and friends decide to finally host a Mushroom Kingdom baseball tournament. Everyone is invited. Yes, Bowser too, and the excitement is growing. Unfortunately, the Dark Star from Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has crashed the event and captures everyone except for Mario and Luigi. Save all the captains from the Dark Star's hypnosis by gathering together your team and beating each captain in a game of baseball. After saving 6 captains and destroying the Dark Star's gate, face off against it and reclaim the Baseball Kingdom. This story mode would ideally play pretty similarly to that in Sluggers, where you'd go around and take on challenges to recruit new team players. But you would have different stadiums to traverse. This game would have 6 new stadiums, and, inspired by the Mario Kart franchise, retro stadiums as well, 3 from Superstar Baseball and 3 from Sluggers. And the new stadiums would be something like this. Starting off with Mushroom Stadium, which would be very similar to the Mario stadiums of the 2 previous games. It would just be an ordinary baseball field with very few gimmicks to provide that vanilla experience. In addition, due to the heavy influence of Mario Sunshine on the Mario Baseball series, it could be cool to see a Delfino Plaza-inspired stadium. This could be a large stadium, and some of the gimmicks that it could have would be perhaps boxes or tables which your fielders would run into, and maybe some water littering the floor of the stadium, which would slow down your fielders. It could also be cool to see a Piranha Creek Stadium, inspired by Piranha Creeper Creek from 3D World. This could be a medium stadium, and some of the gimmicks would probably be writhing piranha plants from 3D World that would block your way, and maybe some torches here and there that if your players happen to run into, could burn them and slightly inconvenience them. I'd also love to see a Cloudy Court Stadium, inspired by Cloudy Court Galaxy from Mario Galaxy 2. This could be a pretty large stadium, and some of its gimmicks could include Lakitus flying around and throwing Spinies now and then, and maybe some wind blowing, which could make it harder for your fielders to run in specific directions. Perhaps also a New Donk City Stadium would be fun. This one could be pretty small and might have some gimmicks like sewer covers, sort of like Wario City from Sluggers, but also the RC car from Mario Odyssey. This could sort of drive around randomly around the stadium, maybe there could be a couple of them, and your fielders could bonk into them every now and then. And lastly, due to the Dark Star being the villain for our story mode, you'd obviously have to face off against it in perhaps a dark galaxy, which could be both inspired by the galaxy of Mario Galaxy, but also just the general darkness that the Dark Star tends to bring with it. And this could be a medium stadium, and some of its gimmicks could be electric strikes randomly around the stadium, and in addition to falling star bits here and there. And all of these stadiums would be playable in exhibition mode as well. But some of the retro stadiums I would love to see make a return into Mario Baseball 3 would include from Superstar Baseball, perhaps Wario Palace, since this was pretty unique and didn't really have anything really like it in the following game, as well as the Superstar Baseball renditions of Yoshi Park and Bowser Castle. And then from Sluggers, I'd really like to see Peach Ice Garden make a return. And I know that you're saying, Peach Ice Garden, man, that stadium sucks, and I definitely agree. But I think perhaps a slight revisit could make it into a really good stadium. I think it's truly beautiful in Mario Sluggers. It really just needs to be remade with the extra graphical capability of the Switch, and perhaps nerfing the ice physics just a little bit to make it a little bit less unfair to play on. I'd also like to see Daisy Cruiser and Luigi's Mansion make it into this game as well, since those two deserve also sort of an overhaul and could be really, really fun to play on a Switch version of Mario Baseball. And for all of these stadiums, you could turn on and off the gimmicks if you wanted in exhibition mode. So that way, even if you just wanted to play a basic baseball game, you could still do so and you don't have to play on Mushroom Stadium. It could also be kind of fun to have some stadium stats on the selection screen when you highlight a stadium in exhibition mode, as well as perhaps a brief description of each stadium. Now, it wouldn't be a Mario baseball game without a huge number of characters, and we'd love to see some new ones for both 3D World and Odyssey. And it would be kind of fun to have perhaps an increased number of captains as well. So Sluggers has 12 captains, and we'd love to see maybe 16 captains, so 4 new ones. And these captains would include Mario as captain of the Mario Fireballs. You'd also have the Luigi Tornadoes, Peach Monarchs, Daisy Flowers, Yoshi Eggs, Birdo Bows, Wario Muscles, Waluigi Spitballs, DK Barrels, Diddy Bananas, Bowser Monsters, and Bowser Jr. Bullets. And we decided to keep most of the team names the same because we just really like a lot of the ones from Mario Sluggers, and we only decided to change a few of them. Now, as for the unlockable captains, which you'd have to unlock by doing very specific things in story mode, we'd love to see Rosalina as our first new captain, and she could be the head of the Rosalina Comets, perhaps. And as Rosalina's counterpart, it would be kind of cool to see Pauline make her debut, being from Mario Odyssey. And she could be the head of the Pauline Superstars, and could perhaps have some interesting chemistry connections or bad chemistry connections to the Donkey Kong cast. And in addition to that, we thought that Petey and Wiggler should probably be a captain. Each of them should be captains because they are just so iconic within Mario Super Sluggers, especially Petey. And so Petey could be the captain of the Petey Thorns, and Wiggler the captain of the Wiggler Gardens. In story mode, just like in Mario Super Sluggers, characters would be organized into captain teams. And so in this game, there would be 8 captain teams rather than 6 to correspond with the 16 captains rather than the 12 captains in Mario Super Sluggers. And each captain team would have 2 captains on it, with one being the main captain and then another one that you would also unlock along the way. So the Mario Fireballs, for example, would have Mario and Luigi. And so it would be kind of cool to have a bunch of new characters. And we were also thinking that each captain team would probably have 9 characters on it, just like a regular baseball team. And to achieve this while introducing a bunch of new characters, we thought it'd be a good idea to cut down on some of the excessive duplicates in Mario Sluggers, as there are quite a few of them. So as for new characters, we thought it'd be super cool if on the Mario team, we perhaps introduced Egad, and as well as Bob-omb and King Bob-omb. And each of these characters would be super cool to see due to their presence in other related Mario games. And perhaps the Peach Monarchs could also introduce Captain Toad to replace the basic Red Toad from Mario Super Sluggers, since Captain Toad really does deserve some more love, being such an iconic character in lots of recent Mario games. And perhaps on the Yoshi Eggs, we could also see Fly Guy and Poochie, both from Yoshi's Island. Both those would be really fun new characters to have. And then the Wario Muscles, we thought it would be kind of interesting to have Nabbit be introduced to this team, as he sort of fits in with that sneaky, trickstery sort of style that both Waluigi and Wario have. The DK team would be pretty similar to in Mario Super Sluggers, except we also thought it'd be kind of fun to have Cranky Kong make an appearance, given that he is sort of an important member of the Kongs. And he would be a little bit slower than the other Kongs, obviously, but he could probably make for a pretty good pitcher, considering that the Kong team kind of lacks that presence in Mario Super Sluggers. Now, the Bowser Jr. and the Bowser team, so the Bowser Monsters, would have, again, all of the same sort of characters, although perhaps we could cut down on the Dry Bones and Magic Koopa duplicates and instead have Boom Boom and Pom Pom. And both of them could be pretty powerful hitters, especially Boom Boom could probably hit absolute dingers. But, and both of them would be kind of cool introductions to the team as well. And then on the Rosalina team, the Rosalina Comets, we would probably see Rosalina and then Pauline as well. And we could also see Luma make an appearance, who would be a pretty standard and natural inclusion on any Rosalina team. And perhaps Guillermo as well, a really interesting Galaxy character that deserves to be in some of the spin-offs, probably. Maybe Penguin, too, from the original Mario Galaxy, Mario 64. And then perhaps for some Mario Odyssey representation with Pauline, all 4 of the Brutals could be interesting to see. So Topper, Harriet, Spewer, and Rango, each of them with their own stats based on sort of how they act in Mario Odyssey. And then lastly, for the PD Thorns, we'd have PD and Wiggler. Chain Chomp could be really interesting. I bet Chain Chomp could probably hit some absolute dingers. And then Blooper would be moved over to this team from the Mario team. And then Gooper Blooper as well would be really fun. A very, very slow character, but be interesting to see Gooper Blooper be added. Although I know Gooper Blooper does make an appearance in Daisy Cruiser as well, so they'd have to find some way around that. Maybe Spike, too, from some of the more recent 2D platformers and 3D. Piranha Plant as sort of a counterpart to PD. And then Cheep Cheep and Green Cheep Cheep as well. And those would probably be all of the captains. But as for star hits, all of the captains would still get their own unique star hit, just like in Sluggers. Some of those might be modified a bit. But in addition, we felt like it would be interesting to make the non-captain star hits a little bit more fun as well, instead of being exactly the same for every character. And a good way to do that might be to add a slight variation to the star hit, both visual and the way that it actually moves across the field, based on the captain team that each character is in story mode. So everyone on the Mario team would get sort of like a fire effect. So it would be like a fireball for their star hit. And this would just be a little visual fire effect, which would help give the ball a little bit of extra reach. And Peach team could have Wish Ball, which would sort of blow fielders out of the way a little bit. Yoshi's could be a Bouncy Ball, which would confuse the fielders somewhat, confuse their AI just a little bit. Wario team could be a Tricky Ball, which would move somewhat erratically. DK could have a Cannonball, which would just go really, really high. Bowser's team could have a Bullet Ball, which would go really fast. Perhaps Rosalina's team could have a Comet Ball, which would follow a slightly curved path similar to Diddy's Star Swing in Sluggers, but perhaps a little bit less extreme of an effect. And then PD's could sort of be like a garden ball, which would have flowers grow underneath, and fielders that tried to walk over it would get slightly slowed. We also think it could be fun to introduce some new error items into Mario Baseball 3. Now, Mario Super Sluggers has 6 error items, with only 3 of them being accessible without playing any story mode. So we think it could be fun to introduce a few new error items, bringing the total up to 8, and making 6 of them accessible from the base game. So we also thought it could be kind of interesting to associate each error item with one of the captain teams from story mode. So in order to unlock Rosalina's or PD's error item, you would need to play through story mode and unlock them. Now, as for the error items, the one that could be from Mario's team would be Cappy. And using the Cappy error item would let you control a fielder if you hit them. And DK's error item could be a barrel. So this could be inspired by the banana error item from Mario Super Sluggers, except instead of being kind of weak like the banana, you'd throw a barrel, and if the barrel hit a fielder, it could stun them for a brief period, in addition to splitting into 4 bananas after the barrel hits the ground. Yoshi's could be like an egg, or it could be an egg error item, which would be like the fire error item from Mario Super Sluggers, which would be 3 different bouncing eggs. Although instead of catching the fielders on fire, it would just stun them for a brief period. But it could be more likely to hit the fielders, because the fire error item is kind of annoying in that way. Bowser's could be the green shell, which would work pretty similarly to Mario Sluggers. Peach's could be sort of a magic charm, which would act sort of like a weaker Peach Star Swing, but would affect anyone from Mario Sluggers, so it would stun the fielders for a brief period. Wario's could be the Boo item, which would be like Sluggers, but would also work against automatic fielding, so that it wouldn't be completely useless in that situation. And as for the 2 unlockable ones, Rosalina's could be Starbits, which would give you 3 different Starbits to throw, sort of like in Mario Galaxy. And each of the individual Starbits would be pretty weak against the fielders, only stunning them for a brief period, but you'd have 3 of them and they would be quite precise, so it would be a very skill-based item. And then with Petey, we could give Petey the POW block, which would work pretty similarly to how it does in Mario Super Sluggers. It could also be fun if Mario Baseball 3 introduced some new mini-games. Although basically anything would be better than the minigames in Mario Super Sluggers. So if you guys have any ideas for that, definitely make sure to leave your ideas for some different minigames in the comments below. Now, as for the controls, which are arguably one of the most important parts of any Mario Baseball game, we think it could be kind of cool to introduce a nice balance between the fully controller-based no-motion controls from Mario Superstar Baseball and the very motion control influenced methods from Mario Super Sluggers. So you would have a few options. You could either use a single Joy-Con, and this would be very similar to the vertical Wii Remote, where moving around the field and the bases were automated, and you would swing the single Joy-Con in order to swing the bat. You could also use a dual Joy-Con control, and this would be my personal choice. This would be sort of a hybrid between the Wii Remote and Nunchuck and the regular Wii Remote controls from Mario Super Sluggers. So there would still be automatic fielding and base running for very simple plays, but you could completely override that if you move the joystick or press the right buttons. And this would introduce a lot of skill into the game, while maintaining the ability to just simply, not have to think too hard for the really basic plays. And you would still swing perhaps the right or the left Joy-Con, perhaps depending on whether you're left or right-handed, or perhaps depending on whether your character is right or left-handed. In addition, another option would be with dual Joy-Cons or with a Pro Controller. You could also use fully manual fielding and no motion controls at all. And that would be another option available to you as well. So the controls would give the player a lot of accessibility choices depending on how they want to play the game. Lastly, a few other changes that we'd like to make would perhaps be some new pitch types would be cool, like curveball, changeup, knuckleball. Perhaps some sort of season mode where you could organize it sort of like an actual baseball season, and that would be very in-depth as well. And it could be kind of interesting to have reserve pitchers if you would like to. So just increasing the complexity for those who have sort of gone above the base game, although those would be more wish list items and probably would be a little bit less realistic. So thank you so much for watching our new Mario Baseball 3 for the Switch ideas. We think it would be super cool to see any sort of Mario Baseball present on this console. We love the series, and perhaps even a Mario Super Sluggers remake would be nice, although I would definitely love a completely new game. So thank you all again, and make sure to check out our other videos where we play Mario Super Sluggers and go head-to-head with 2-player gameplay, and make sure to subscribe as well so we can keep bringing you fresh new content. So see you all in the next one. Take care.